Today we're going to learn about another data structure that can store information and store data just like we learned lists. So today we're going to talk about dictionaries. And dictionaries can store a bunch of information. However, they're not really a sequence. So when we say sequence, it means order matters. So when we talked about a string, which was a sequence, the order of the characters matters. When we talked about the list, the order mattered. In a dictionary, the order doesn't matter. When we have a sequence, you can store many items. A sequence allowed duplicates, so I can have a string that has 2 letter S's. I can have a list that has apple twice. And so in a sequence, the order, like we said, matters, and the way you access an item in your list or your string or your sequence was by index. So if I wanted the first letter in my name, I would say name sub 0. I would put 0 in the square brackets. If I wanted the first item in a list, I would say that the list name and then 0, and it would give me the first item. Now, dictionaries are slightly different. A dictionary is kind of like a mapping between a key and a value. What does that mean? That means if you give it a key, if you tell it, I want, like, for example, what's at B, it's going to tell you, for example, beauty. So think of it as a dictionary. If you go to a dictionary and say, I want the first word in the dictionary that starts with the letter S, or I want the first word that starts with the letter T. Also think of a dictionary like a phone book. If you want the name of a person, if you want the phone number of a person, the way you would do it is you would go to your phone book and search for that person's name, like Mickey Mouse. And you go and you look up Mickey Mouse and you find a phone number there. Or if you look up an address, who is the main owner of that address, you would look up, 123 Manchester Road, and you would get the person that's living there. So a dictionary is basically a mapping between a key and a value, and the order in the dictionary doesn't matter. And we're going to see that in a bit. So here's an example of creating an empty dictionary. So remember, with a list, we have the square brackets. A dictionary, we use these curly braces. And the way we put information in it is we put the key, colon, the value. So here I'm saying, like, for example, Grumpy has banner ID 123, Dopey has banner ID 456, Sneezy has banner ID 789. Here's another dictionary that is called classes. And here, for example, is the class ID and, the banner ID of a student, and the classes the person is taking. Notice that here, the banner ID, the key is the banner ID, it's a number. The value that's being stored in the dictionary that this banner ID is pointing to is a list. And so with dictionaries, you can use strings, you can use numbers, you can use lists. You can actually have a dictionary inside of a dictionary. So here, for example, I would say that Grumpy has banner ID 123, and from this classes dictionary, I would say that student 123 is taking CSC 127 and CSC 124, for example. Now, what if I want to access data in a dictionary? We use the same format as we did with a string or a list. We put the dictionary name, and then in the square brackets, instead of putting the location like 0, 1, 2, 3, the index, we put the key. So here, if I come to banner IDs, which is the name of my dictionary, and say, I want you to print for me what is at Dopey, it's going to go search for Dopey, and it's going to see what is stored at Dopey, and it's going to print out 456. Here, if I go to classes, the classes dictionary, and say, print me what's at 789, well, what's at 789? The key is 789. The value is this list that has 2 classes, art and comp. And I can use nested calls. So here what I'm doing is I'm going to banner's ID and say, get me what's stored at Grumpy. Well, if I go to Grumpy and I see that what's stored there is 123. So banner IDs of Grumpy gives me back 123. And then I go to classes of 123, and it's going to give me the value stored there, which is CSC 127 and 124. So What happens if I try to give it a key that doesn't exist? Well, remember when we tried giving an index to a list that didn't exist, what happened? We got an index error. Here we're going to get a key error. So if I try to access an item in the dictionary and it doesn't exist, I'm going to get a key error. So what should I do to make sure that I don't get this error? Well, I can use the in keyword, just like we did with lists and strings, and ask it, is Dopey in banner IDs? And it's going to go to banner IDs and check all the keys. And here it's going to find that Dopey is a key, so this is going to return true. And so I can wrap it in an if statement. If this is true, then I'm going to say, for example, found Dopey, or I'm going to go and say, give me banner IDs of Dopey. Okay. We can change values or add values just by using the key notation. So I go here to this empty dictionary that I created, and I want to put a value in there. So I can just say empty of 12 equal to 78. What is this going to do? It's going to go and put the value 78 with key 12. So if I ask to print the dictionary, I'm going to get that it contains 12 is a key and 78 is a value. Here, if I try to print banner IDs of Dopey, Dopey has a value of 456, so I'm going to get 456. Now, if I want to change Dopey, I can just go and say banner IDs of Dopey is equal to 999. So I'm changing the value that is stored to 999. And so if I print banner IDs now, I will get that it is 999. Can I remove items from a dictionary? I can. So just like we could delete using a list, I can delete from a dictionary. The way you delete from a dictionary is you say delete and the dictionary name and the key. And so here, for example, I have classes. I have all the items in it. And then I want to delete 456. It's going to go and check 456. What is it there? Yes, it is. So it's going to delete that entry. So 456 along with English 101 and Math 172 is going to get deleted. And so when I print it again, I only have now 123 and 789 as my keys. Again, if you try to delete an item that doesn't exist, you're going to get a key error. Now, before we continue, let's kind of practice what we just learned. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my dictionary. Let's call it Fave Color Dictionary. And I'm going to put some information in it. So I'm going to say that Miki has a favorite color of blue, and Minnie has a favorite color of purple, and Donald has a favorite color of yellow, okay, for example. And now I want to print it, so let's try printing Fave Color, and I'm going to see the dictionary getting printed for me. Okay, now if I wanted to change the favorite color of Miki, I can go and say favorite color of Miki. Instead of making it blue, I'm going to make it black. Okay. Now if I try printing favorite color, I'm going to see that Miki now has black as their favorite color. The value changed. Note that, like we said, with dictionaries, we cannot have duplicates. So I can't have Miki in there twice. I can't have Minnie in there twice. I can have the values in there twice. So I can go to Minnie, for example, and I'm going to say, Minnie, I'm going to change your favorite color to also be black. That's okay. That's going to be allowed. So can two keys have the same value? Yes, they can. But can two values map to this? Like, can a value exist more than once? Yes, a value can exist more than once. Okay, but a key only points to one thing. So a key only kind of opens one door, only gives you one value. So here I have Minnie and Miki, both of them have a favorite color of black. That's okay. But Miki, when I tried changing it, it changed. Okay, it's not going to add an extra value. Unlike lists, lists can allow duplicates. So I can have a list like we did before, that has, you know, apple in there twice. Dictionaries, I can't do that. Oops, I used the wrong notation. Brackets for lists. I can do that with lists. So if I try printing my list, it will let me have duplicates. Dictionaries can't. Okay, so if I go to this dictionary and I added Donald with yellow, and now I try to add Donald again, let's say with green. You see that here, what happened was that Donald, kind of the yellow got erased and the green got replaced. So it added Donald with yellow, and then when it came and it said Donald, I'm going to add it with green, it removed the yellow. So you can only have one key. So you cannot, so dictionaries cannot have duplicate keys. Just like lists can allow duplicate values, but indices are not duplicated, right? Cannot. You can only have one value at location or at index 0 or index 1, right? It's, you know, if you go to index 0, there's only one thing that's there. That thing might be a list, like I could have like a list of, you know, apple and oranges, for example. That's okay. But it's still one item. What is this item? It's a list. So just like with lists, you can only have one item at a specific index. With dictionaries, you can also have one item given a key. And so if you try inserting a key multiple times, it is overwriting what was there before. Okay. Now, let's say now I don't want to have mini in there. I can delete mini. So what I can do is I can go and say delete from favorite color, mini. And then now if I try to print favorite color, I'm going to find that mini is gone. Okay, so now no more mini. And we were able to also do that with the list. We were able to go to a list and say delete, but we delete by index. And so if I come and I say now print me the list after I deleted 0, I'm going to find that it only has apples in them. So it's the same syntax that I was able to use with lists that I use with dictionaries to delete items from it. If I try to delete something that doesn't exist, so I try to delete, I don't know, cake, for example, that line will throw an exception. And so I get an exception, key error. I can't do that. So what you should really do is check if cake in favorite color, then go ahead and delete it. Else, for example, print cake not found. This is the right way to delete from dictionaries. You need to make sure that whatever you're deleting, the key that you're accessing with that you are deleting does exist in the dictionary before you go ahead and delete it.